Hi friends, and welcome back. It's Leander here. I'm enjoying my morning coffee, and I thought whilst I do, I might sit and have a little catch up with you, because it has been a little while now since I just had a general catch up, sharing all those wonderful things. It's called life, cards and stuff. So I admire, by the way, those of you who are able to maintain that practice of sharing at the end of the month or the very beginning of the following month how you went with your monthly draws, the monthly spreads, the cards that you draw and place on your altar at the beginning of the month, and then we all do a review to see how we traveled and how close we were to interpreting the cards, what actually did eventuate. The practice itself, I'm diligent, but uploading videos, no, not necessarily. So I really have to stay true to myself. I'm not going to make promises I can't keep, but I would like to periodically at least have a bit of a catch up. So I decided to lovingly cram a few months into one. And what really brought this to my attention was I was reflecting just a couple of days ago on how crazy busy. Everyone's busy, but just the speed in which the second half of this year traveled, it really did pull the rug from under my feet. And I should have expected that, because I was, until my birthday towards the end of November, in an 8 personal year. You're going to expect the pace to pick up, and there's a lot going on, and that's fine. I expected that. I expected that, but the year still took me by surprise, which makes no sense. But how can I explain to you? My 8 personal year got off to a very manageable start. So it was nicely busy, just the way I like it. And come June, July, everything just changed very quickly. And I thought, oh, there it is. There's the 8 challenge. Yeah, the pace is certainly picking up, and it was wonderful, but just the pace. But I had already booked a trip to Bali, and I spent 3 glorious weeks over there. So that was a wonderful break away from the madness. Fodder for my personal growth, my spiritual growth, my awakening, my awareness. It is, anything to do with travel. I always feel extremely excited. I love foreign lands, foreign cultures, foreign places. I love being outside my comfort zone and discovering new places. So it was wonderful in every way I could possibly explain. To the point where I do believe I will return next year. I have enough frequent flyer points to take me there and back, so why the heck not? Shiva here, I purchased in Bali some 13 years ago, and it's been that long since I've been there, so it certainly has changed in a sense, but it still has that beautiful, magical, spiritual flavor and feeling about it. It's quite an experience. Balinese people are just beautiful. So August, there it went, and I hit the ground running on the 1st of September when I arrived home, and found that I had 2 extra jobs come up. And this is where I obviously started to really pay attention to the cards and what they were trying to tell me for the month upcoming. And September and October felt like one month for me, because the jobs sort of carried over into October. And what that is I still have my tarot consult. I see clients face to face, and most of them are people that have been seeing me for quite some time now. So that is very comfortable and very rewarding. But I also do some property management to supplement my wage. It's a little business that was handed over to me by somebody close to me who retired, and so I've gotten to know the owners of these properties, and we have a wonderful relationship. And primarily my job is just to look after the books and make sure everyone pays their rent on time, and look after any issues with the properties, organising tradies, etc. But this was a biggie. So coincidentally, not 1 but 2 apartments came up for renovation, a total renovation. And so it was my job to organise the refurbishment, renovation, to coordinate, to monitor, make sure everything was done and tradesmen were paid. And then it was, of course, my job to find new tenants. And it was wonderful. It was exciting. It was busy in a very rewarding way. I was pushed forward. I had to get out there and get things done and meet people and track down new tradesmen and all that sort of stuff. So it was fantastic, but it was super busy. Probably a little bit, I wouldn't call it manageable. It was just, yeah, cheers to that. But the experience at the end of the day was wonderful. So what I did a few days ago, I just decided to go back over those cards. And the first thing that I was reminded of was when I first drew those cards in September, first of all, the colours. And I'll show you what I mean. Forgive me sipping. My favourite time of the day is morning coffee, so I can't tell you. It is just, it's just like liquid gold for me. I love it. 1 cup is enough, although check the size of it. But yeah. This, by the way, is as close, I think, as I'll ever get to the Idiosyncra deck. I still dream of owning that deck. I love it so much, and I'm just a little devastated. I don't mind. Decks come and go, and I've missed out on many decks. You know, if they're indie and they sell out, I think what will be will be. Look at Dark Goddess. It's coming back. You know, I've got the app. I'm not going to die. But there's something about this dear little deck, and I'm very sad that the creator doesn't want to reprint. But anyway, boo-hoo for me. But I love it. There's just something adorable about that deck. So, the cards. Look at the colours here, my friends. How amazing is that? Like they're like little cousins. It's like strawberries and mangoes and watermelon. It's just really quite delicious. So, first of all, the cards I drew from, this is the Colour Gypsy Oracle, and for the life of me, I can't remember who... Oh my God, who the creator is. I'm so sorry. That is very rude. And I won't waste your time now going to get my laptop and all. But it's a beautiful little deck. And you know me, I love colour. And I drew Free Spirit and Creativity. And I saw both of these spring to life during the month of September. Creativity on a personal level with me doing my own stuff. I'm also doing some jobs around my home, on the exterior of my home. I think we have to really think outside the box when you consider the subject of creativity. But of course, I certainly relate that to the renovations that I had to organise, and Free Spirit. That was when I heard myself, my inner self crying out, help, help, take me back to Bali, will you? So, yes, I did have those days. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, Bowie. Dog next door. Seriously, if a bee flies on by, he barks. It's just one of those things. Anyway, when I was challenged by timeline, by people, because there was a lot going on at once with 2 renovations and 2 lots of tradies, you can imagine. I remembered this card and I had to have a laugh. You are exactly where you're meant to be, dear. So there will be there will be no travel. you need to finish the job. But in all seriousness, that card meant more to me than simply my busy timetable. I know on a personal level what it was trying to say also, because I was paying particular attention to my personal growth, especially having just returned from an overseas trip. Folks, I'm going to go and close the window. I won't be a sec. That dog is like a chatty Cathy. Seriously. Anyway, moving right along. So, the next 2 cards I'd like to share are from the beautiful Muse Tarot by Chris Anne. We all know this deck. And I drew, for the month of September, the Chariot and the 5 of Inspiration. Well, what a surprise, not. Once again, I think it did relate closely to my work, to my timetable across the board. And please keep in mind, I still was juggling that with some home projects I was organising, because I wanted to get, I've been modernising my my backyard for quite some time, as I can, like, upgrading, modernizing and simplifying so it's easier to look after. And that's been an ongoing project as I can afford it. So when I say the garden, that includes some concreting and all sorts of stuff. So, you know, when you see the Chariot card, the first thing that I think of is will and skill. It takes a lot of skill to be a chariot driver, does it not? And I certainly had to rein in those horses, as during the month of September, on more than one occasion, they decided they wanted to gallop off in opposite directions. And the Five of Inspirations, fondly known or commonly known as the Five of Wands in many RWS decks. So we can often associate that with competition. There's a lot going on. That five energy can be quite frantic. It's disruptive. It wants to bring about change. So when I love this deck and I love this card, and I always think, okay, if I am in competition with anyone, who more than likely will it be? Me. So I did think about that when I was feeling at times overwhelmed and having to, once again, I was like the Two of Pentacles on steroids. And I thought, just make sure you're not making a mountain out of a molehill. You can manage this. And if you have to say no and draw boundaries, you have to say no. You have to put someone back a day or whatever it be. So I'm not trying to make out that it was, oh my God, dramatically stressful, but it was overwhelming. But I was also learning so much about myself at the time, and just about the job itself and organizing renovations, because I know there will be more in the future. So in that regard, it was really amazing that that Chariot can be the most wonderful card, as you know. And I don't know about you, but there are times when I feel I am driving the Chariot, and at times I feel like the Chariot is life and I am just being pulled forward. But that can be super exciting also. So all these beams of light and energy coming out of the solar plexus, which is creativity, Leo, the sun, you know, ego, making decisions and creating. So I saw it on so many levels. Amazing. I do remember reading, there's the, Chris-Anne has provided an online, like a digital guidebook to this deck. And she spoke of collaboration and comparison. And once again, I thought, oh my God, seriously? Yeah. I can relate to that in so many ways, but especially about the job. So I feel for me, that renovation job was very much a spiritual lesson. It was far more and far deeper than simply my job. And when I think about this, and you can see these as mirrors or portals or energy centers. You can just look at it so many different ways. And that five, so many different things. 5 is an amazing number if it's harnessed properly. If not, you can find yourself shooting off in 5 different directions, starting a whole lot of stuff and getting nothing finished. And this one here, I had a deadline. I had to get it finished. So with the second renovation, unfortunately, we came across a few unexpected issues, you know, when you start pulling things apart. So that did spill right over into, well over 2 weeks of October. And yeah, it's just the way it ended up. And of course, that meant putting off certain tradesmen that were already booked in to replace the flooring and all that kind of stuff. So it was extremely rewarding and very busy. So all in all, that was September. I think I'm remembering everything. So then came October, much the same, but of course I felt like I had more of a handle on the projects and the responsibilities that were outside of myself. And I could feel that I was beginning to settle back into my normal pace, my normal routine. Because during September, even there were times where I'd wake up feeling tired and I needed to get on site early. And I thought, should I do my yoga or should I not? And a couple of days, I'd say there were 4 days over the month that I didn't practice yoga, which I always do every morning. So that was a bit disappointing. In October, I thought, wait a minute, you know, you're just going to have to wait. or I have to get up that little bit earlier, and that's, you know, don't let the yoga go by. So I decided, because I'm going through this whole deck thing at the moment, and I'll talk about that either later in this 15 minutes later in this video. If not, I'll start another one. But just feeling like, oh, something new would be nice. And I pulled myself up in October and I said, look around, Leander, you've got plenty to work with, and there are so many decks calling out for attention and you haven't picked them up. Would you do that to a puppy? No. So I decided to call upon an old friend, the Osho Zen Tarot. A lot of people don't like it. I don't know why. I think this is a beautiful deck, and I do appreciate the guidebook, but most importantly, I love using this as it's like a meditation tarot deck. Just sit with yourself and enjoy the ride. So, first card, turning inward, letting go. There's fodder for a Scorpio. And oh, what a surprise, not. And the dream. Now that's interesting in that, first of all, I could feel myself having more time for myself. And I felt that this came up as a little reminder, hey, look, you know, now that that madness is over, let's just get back on track for a second. You're in an 8 personal year. You've learned a lot, but consider what type of 8 personal year it was. I always reflect upon not just the prior year, which was a 7, but go back in time and think about the 8 personal year you experienced 9 years ago. Or if you're in a 2 year, think about your previous 2 year, because they also carry on from each other. And in a nutshell, my previous 8 personal year was very much about, well, it was a cliche. It was about work and career and status. And I did rise to the top in the department I was, in the company I was working for. Like I couldn't go any further than I did. I loved my job. Speaking of frantic, it was insanely busy, but I loved it. And working in certain industries is more like a lifestyle than a job. And that's, you know, this was in-flight production for 14 different airlines, different cultures. I was surrounded by music, which for me is medicine. It was amazing. But then, of course, comes the 9 year. And the 9 year says, okay, now that's fabulous, but now we need to assess what stays and what goes. But just harking back on my 8 year this year, it was more about myself, growing me. You know, the successes as opposed to the trips and falls, dare I say. I didn't feel like I failed at anything necessarily this year. I'll have to really think about that. But there certainly were trips and falls. And so I feel that, yes, the 8 energy came and said, well, you're the CEO of you and your life and your journey. So that's what the 8 year is about. So this came in October, a month before my birthday, just reminding me to take a look. Well, actually, I think it wasn't reminding, it wasn't just reminding me, but it was also informing me that you might have an ideal, a goal, a dream, that now that you're approaching the end of this 8 year and you have grown, and I honestly, my friends, I feel like I have grown a lot this year. I put my career aside. I love what I do, but that's that. I don't need to get out there and, you know, do all the star-spangled marketing and all that. I'm just coasting along. I really did focus with the greatest intent on my personal growth. And I just feel the cards were saying, look, you know, that was delightful and it was apt, it was applicable, and it worked for you. But now we're at the point where I think you need to go back in and reassess the dream, the goal. And I know you could argue that the 6 of water, the 6 of cups, is often nostalgic, which takes you back in time, you're reviewing. But yeah, it's both. It's both. Because where I am today is a result of the decisions that I made in the past. So that might be the past, but that's what it's saying. But is this still applicable as you move forward? Maybe now that you're moving into a 9 year, excuse me, this could be up for grabs. Maybe this is going to go in the to be dissolved pile. Interesting. May I just take a moment to apologize to you? I don't know if you know, but we have been experiencing horrific bushfires in Australia. It is literally catastrophic. There were, last I heard, 120 fires burning in my state alone. There are a number of fires that have been surrounding the city in which I live. And we have our good days. The last few days it has been still and nice and clean and clear. I actually saw blue sky again recently, but prior to that, if you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen some on my feed and my stories. The skies were like a mustard colour, bizarre. The sun's trying to come through the clouds of smoke. And unfortunately, the winds did pick up again yesterday, and I woke up to the pungent smell of bushfires, and it does affect your throat and eyes. So I am so sorry. I'm constantly correcting my throat, and I will start to pause every time I need to have another sip. I've been drinking gallons of water. I know coffee is probably not the best solution, but I'm drinking water like a mad person, so don't worry. I am hydrating, but wow, it just catches you every now and then. And it's, I can't tell you just how heartbroken I am. It's horrific. I won't start that conversation in this thing because I will get very upset. But it's not good at all, folks. Anyway, so I decided, because I'm focusing on my monthly draws more and more, and I'm going to reconfigure them in a sense, or I'm going to in 2020 I plan on kicking it up a notch, if you like, with my monthly draws in order to pay more attention at the end of the month, in order to put together a storyboard that is made up of 12 segments. Because that doesn't feel too overwhelming, rather than saying, look at all the spreads you've done all year. Bah! Right? So I do the monthly spreads. I do the draw at the beginning of the month. I have a look at the end of the month, and I think about it. But I seem to concentrate more on I have a book that's just dedicated to tarot spreads. But I seem to go back over them more than the monthlies. And I think that's because my attitude was more about, well, show me the energies that are coming up for the month. It was, I guess, quite light-hearted, more of a curiosity. Whereas next year, I really want to highlight the fact that this is about how I travel, what I perceive, what comes to me during the next month, what is most likely to come to me, and how I react to it. So it's going to involve more cards than prior years, and certainly jazz up the variety. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens at the end of the month, but I might talk a little bit more about that. I want to do a video on diaries and journals soon. So back to the cards. I decided to call upon another old friend that I almost sold and moved on or given away, whatever. But you know, it's hard, isn't it? You still like them. Anyway, I drew the delightful 10 of Pentacles. And as you know, oh, this is just like a jar of cookies. Yummy! And everything's wonderful. But you know, strangely enough, the first thing I thought of was, wow, that's busy. There's a lot going on there. And it may be pleasant and juicy and colourful and all, but me being me on this journey towards further and deeper simplification and yeah, just clearing the way and being surrounded by less. Wowza. So I thought I might pull another card, and well, I don't need to say it, do I? Just, you know, my friend, my best friend, yeah. The Tower came up. Of course the Tower came up. So I thought, after I had a good giggle, I thought, well, that's an interesting parallel, isn't it, to what came up with Osho. Could be too much of a good thing. If it is, could be don't forget, you are moving into a 9 year in the month of November. So there's, once again, we might do a stock take and I'll help you get rid of the excess. It could be much the same as I shared with this. As much as you, not that this is a dream, I feel like this is more about life, because I'm super content in many, many ways. I really do feel very content with what I have, with my life, with myself as a person. And I have not always been able to say that. You know, I feel content as to who I am at the moment. I still have work to do, but I really do feel quite settled in myself. So, you know, that's come after a lot of hard work, but I'm proud to say I've come as far as I have. So I don't see this as more like, oh, that's what I'm aiming for, but I do feel the Tower is saying or suggesting, considering you've worked on yourself and you've changed so much, have a look around, because honestly, is what you have, what you are living and breathing, what you are utilizing, what you are enjoying, is it really what you want? Because I'd like to suggest that due to the personal changes that you have experienced, I think this needs a tweak. As beautiful as it is, no one is denying that. It's beautiful, it's comfortable. Ah, could that be it? Is it a little too comfortable? Are you falling into complacency? Is it becoming a little too familiar? Aren't you the one that said, you're a free spirit, you're a gypsy? I say it all the time. So, well, this is a 10 energy after all, and as you know, it's hinting towards wrapping things up. It's like bumping out in a theatre. So do you really need to put all those props back before the new play commences? Have a look. I always feel like the Tower says, you're welcome to take care of it, but if you don't, if you attempt to sweep things under the carpet, I certainly will surely come through and double check that you've done the job. And if you haven't, I'll do it for you. So, yeah. And remember, this is just for the month. It's not like it's going on for the next 2 years, which I've already experienced. But still, it's very, very important and it makes a lot of sense. So, it could even say, oh, you think you've settled. You think you've finished. Right. You're at the 10. Abundance. Oh, glory, glory, hallelujah. But not really. It's not. It's not over yet. And that also makes sense. I'd say they all make sense. So many different options I could share, but I need to hurry up. So just to share with you before I wrap things up, what I also drew for that very month is from this deck that I love. I bought it over the counter in September. I'll share it with you in another video. This is the Enigma deck. I love the artwork. It's by Daniel Martin Diaz. And I drew the tree. So what's the first thing you think about tree? Growth, nature, cycles of time. And in this deck, he also suggests that this card represents the microcosm. Oh, hello. Okay. Yep. Personal growth. And to top things off, oh, have I lost it? Really? Are you kidding me? I've lost the rune. I had it here, but anyway, I don't want to waste your time. I drew this rune here, which is called Berkana in this one. Sorry, I'm just learning runes. I've had them for years. Yeah, growth. It pertains to growth. I've had them for years, but I've never studied. I dabble, but I would really like to study. And Nina from Shuffle Tarot is going to be doing another little series on the runes in 2020, and I'm very excited about that. But just to wrap things up, folks, this came up. It's about growth and rebirth. And it's saying, you know, what is called for here is to consider your issue with care and awareness. So, once again, just due to time, I don't want to go on and on. But I feel like, really, if you've got the beautiful 10 of Pentacles along with the Tower, I would highlight that as well. Care and awareness. Interesting. It's just amazing, isn't it? So yes, that was all in all my September-October period, with August thrown in for good measure. For the month of August, I travelled with one of my council of 7, the Spirits Speak, and I continue to use this deck whenever I choose over the months. And another council of 7. Look, it's the good old Dirty Pam. I love her. I love her dearly. And they're just a couple of old faithfuls. I haven't felt the need to go anywhere too out there and out of the ordinary. They get me where I need to be. So I was going to share something with deck edging regarding the Dirty Pam, but look, I'm at 30 minutes, so I think I might go, and just thank you for watching. And just wondering how you're traveling. Are you doing your monthly draw spreads and all that kind of stuff? Do you put much... Ooh, there's something floating in the ether. Do you put much focus on to that? I'll save it for next time, but I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm going to ask you what plans you have for 2020 with regards to your practice. This is the time of year to ask, right? So yes, thank you so much. That's me in a nutshell. That's cutting a very long story short. I forgot to show you one other deck that I drew. Speaking of old friends, the Karma cards. I've had these for years. I love them. But maybe what I will do, because it takes a little while to explain how they work, maybe I'll do another video on them. But what they offer is, you can see they're reversible. You have planets, houses and signs, spiritual, mental and physical options. So it is, you know, it can take you far and wide. It's a great deck. So that's that. And yes, thank you very much again for watching, and I'll talk to you real soon. Let me know how you're traveling. Are you using few decks or many? What's going on? I am in the mood to be inspired. Until next time, all the best. Bye for now.